All right, so I'm going to take you through a demo of how to make a route through SalesForce. The way that I make a route through SalesForce, meaning that I'm going to make the route, I'm also going to look at each account to make sure it's a viable car dealer before we don't want to waste our time going to houses or places we don't need to go. So the first thing, we just click the map button, which is going to bring up the map slowly. And there we go. So automatically it should show you where you're at when you pull it up. We're in Commerce, California right now, so it's going to show right here where you're located. So first thing you have to do is obviously pick an area that you want to work, and you can. There's a couple different ways that you can tell SalesForce, where to drop the pins, or the location of the dealers. So one way is to click on that folder, and it's going to ask you where you want to put the dealers. You want to put them in a shape, nearby where you are, or the map view, or everywhere. So if you do map view, it's just going to put them in whatever's shown on your screen. So what I generally do is I pick an area that I want to work in, and I'll draw that particular area with the drawing tools, which are right over here. So if I want to see like what's around me in Huntington Park and Downey and Compton, which is a great area, lots of dealers there, I can say to SalesForce, I can take this tool right here, the draw tool, and I can basically start drawing how far, there we go. In this particular area, I can make a shape. So show me dealers that are going to be just in this particular, this shape right here. And you can make it as big or as small as you want. What I generally do is I try to plan out a route for a week, not a day at a time, but for a week. So I generally try to stay in the same area for an entire week and work that area. You can also, if you want to change the shape, you can click on the points right here and also move your map or make it bigger or smaller, whatever you want to do. So at this point, I'm going to tell SalesForce exactly what I'm looking for. And if you come over here, you've got all accounts pristine. If you hit all accounts pristine like this, I'm going to do it. It's going to show me all accounts that are in this shape. And what this includes is every single thing that you see on this map, from dismantlers, franchise dealers, high potential prospects, high potential prospects visited, and so on. So generally, you don't want to do that because a lot of these are residences. As you can see with the little houses here, these are all residential dealers that work out of their house. So to get rid of that, you can go back to the layering icon right here, and then just take that out, and it's going to clear those away. So what I do is I'm looking for high potential prospects, and these are prospects that have been deemed high potential either by myself or somebody else at some point. So I'm going to click, I want to see the high potential prospects. I want to see the high potential prospects that have been visited. Okay. I want to see member active. I want to see member non-active. So those are members that have been deemed non-active. They haven't logged on or bought for many, many, many months. Then I'm going to come down and I want to see prospects. And prospects visited as well. Right here. So pretty large cluster of dealers. And what I do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to zoom in by hitting the plus button. And I'm going to look and I'm going to start making a route. So this is Firestone Boulevard in Southgate. Lots of dealers on that street. So just for this particular demo, I'm gonna start there. So the first thing as I do is I've got lots of prospects and prospects visited, a member non-active, and some member active. So if I'm going to be in an area working and I've got active members, I'm going to also try to pop in there along my route to visit them, see how things are going, and so on. And obviously, if I've got member non-actives, I want to go in there and see if we can get them active again, working with us again. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start here on Firestone Boulevard, and I'm going to look at this first prospect, and this is Ghana's Auto Sale. They're a large corporate company, and I believe all of their buying decisions and so on are made out of Texas. But for purposes of this demo, what I would normally do is I would open this like this, and I'm going to look, scroll down here, and it says 4370 Firestone Boulevard is the address. Now, on the map, you can also zoom in, and you can do like a Google Earth type view. But what I found on the SalesForce program itself, it's painfully slow to do it that way. So generally what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and I'll highlight the address, copy it with a Control-C, go to Google Maps, pop it into Google Maps, right? And it's going to give you a couple options. It's going to pull it up. At this point, I'm going to go to the satellite view right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in. Most of the time when you get this close, you'll be able to see it actually is an actual car dealer with cars on the lot. You certainly can zoom down to the street level and see, yep, this is a viable dealer to visit. So at that point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right here. It says add to route. And I'm going to add it. So now that's been added to the route. Then I'm going to go next right here, which is Reyes Auto Sales. Again, he's a member non-active, meaning he has not been on in a while. I know he's a car dealer, but for the demo purposes, I'm going to do the same thing again with him. I'm going to copy it, get rid of that, go in. It's going to find it again. Bear with me, I'm in a hotel room, so the internet's a little bit slow. Wow, it didn't even find it. So let me try it again. I might have yeah, see, I only copied part of it, that's why. So again, back out again. Put the address in there. It's going to find this dealer. Again, usually I'm able to zoom in without having to go to street level and see it absolutely is a car dealer. Right here. So again, I'm going to add him to route. Okay, and if you look here, this is your route tab or your route button. You can click on that, and it's going to show you now I have Ghana's and Reyes on that route so far. So once again, I can zoom in. Bear with me, it's slow. Again, here's another one, Express Auto Lending. Right here, same thing. Go to the address, do a Control-C, Control-V. It's going to zoom in, and again, without having to go to street level, I can see that it definitely is a car dealer. I'll add that to the route as well. Another way that you can add dealers to a route is if I wanted to, I can click within this whole highlighted area right here. Just do a left click. Right, whoops. Sorry, my bad. Not sure what it's doing right here. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so what I can do is I could have all of these dealers added to the route all at once. You can add up to 100 dealers to the route. So if you were absolutely 100% sure that everybody within your designated area was a real car dealer on a real car lot, no houses, no mechanic shops, no office buildings kind of thing, you could just say add all to route, and it would add them all to the route automatically. Okay, but chances are there are probably some dealers in here that are office buildings, so on and so forth. So you will find dealers that work out of you know, just small little hole-in-the-wall offices, where you'll find a bunch of dealers in one place that are working, but in my experience, very rarely are they in those offices. So sometimes what I will do is I will just pop by one of those office buildings that has a bunch of dealers in, see if anybody's there, but generally just drop flyers off, pop some flyers in a mailbox if they've got a mailbox, or slide them under the door. And Believe it or not, about 1 out of every 10, you'll actually get a call back from those guys. So now we've got 3 dealers on the route. And what I would continue to do is just go down the list, you know, and look at all of these dealers. And for a fact, I know that all of these on Firestone Boulevard are indeed viable dealers. So what I could do if I wanted to is I could draw another circle, or another square rather, around this whole area right here of all the dealers on Firestone Boulevard. Well, let's do this. Let's get rid of what's on the route already. I can just delete them with the trash can. And now I can say, because again, I know that these are all viable car dealers on Firestone, so I can go ahead and click unnamed rectangle. It's going to ask you which one you want to pick from, because it's basically a shape within a shape. So this would be the unnamed rectangle. And then again, I could say actions, add all to route. And there you go. So now just added, how many? 24 dealers to the route. Now, what you can do is SalesForce does not automatically put those dealers in any kind of order, so to speak, at all. What you can do is have SalesForce optimize the stops, and essentially it's going to look at the route and say which stop should be first versus which stop should be last. So it tries to take into account what sides of the streets they're on, so on and so forth, so you don't have to zigzag as much. To do that, I can just hit optimize in the box right here, and it's going to go ahead and optimize the route in the order that it believes you should see them in based on their geographic location. So you can do that as well. And even if you're making your own route, you can have it optimized. You know, if you're doing them one by one, you can have them optimize the stops as well. So the important thing, and to me the most important thing I think that I do, is to actually make sure you're actually visiting a viable car dealer, because there are a lot of these points on this map that are not. That are the office buildings or mechanics. You know, they're mechanic shops that have a license to sell cars, but they just do it to get cars for their friends, so on and so forth. So you'll save yourself a lot of time and frustration by, you know, taking just that little bit to actually zoom in and see if you're actually visiting a viable dealer, a dealer that's got cars on the lot. So you're going after the low-hanging fruit. Efren's here in the hotel room with me. Efren, you have any questions?
No, so far I'm good.
Okay, no.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right, no questions from Efren so far, so that's good. I guess I'm explaining it well. So that's basically how I make a route myself. Again, I try to make a route for an entire week versus doing it day by day, to work in the same area. That way, if say on Tuesday I was on Firestone Boulevard and, you know, the owner was not in, but I left a flyer, and then he called me on Thursday, got the flyer and wanted to see me, I'm generally not too far away. I'm generally in the same vicinity where it would be not an inconvenience for me to, you know, run back over and try to set a time to go ahead and see him and give him a demo on that day. So again, just to kind of recap what I put, you know, on the map. Also, you can put in your poke data prospects as well. The poke data is basically, you know, guys and how many cars they've sold in a year. I guess it's a couple years old now, the data, and I don't even know if it's been put into the whole system for a while. We didn't even have it in there. I'm going to go ahead and punch it up and see if it pulls anything up out of this particular area. Yeah, there's just, as you can see, there's just a couple that popped up. So you can do that as well, to pull your poke data prospects up, but again, it's not real complete data. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the poke data guys. Again, to remove a particular group, you can go to the layers here, and it's going to tell you, you know, what's on the map right here: prospects, poke data prospects, member not active, member active, so on and so forth. So I want to get rid of the poke data guys that I put on the list. So I would just come on to here and try to find it. I'm looking for it. There they are, poke data prospects, just to remove those from the map. So again, high potential prospects, high potential visited, member active, member non-active, prospects, and prospects visited. That's what I put on my map, obviously for the purposes of visiting your active members if you're going to be in their area, because that never hurts to come in and say hello, visit with them for a little bit. And obviously you want to target your non-active buyers as well, along with prospects. So that is it. Efren, have a question?
You know, I do have a question. So this is something I would typically do like the night before or maybe 2 days before, right? Get ready to go out and comb an area and create a route.
So Efren's question was, is this something you would typically do the day before or a couple of days before? Yes, is the answer. So what I generally do when I make my route, generally is I either do it, if I've got a slow Sunday morning, I'll pop into my office and make it on a Sunday morning. If I've really got nothing going on, put the football game on in my office and do it, or I do it, generally I find I have a little bit of time when it slows down a little bit on Tuesday afternoons. Sometimes offers are slow down, you know, a little bit in the afternoon, because it generally takes me about 30 minutes or so to make a route for the week. You know, maybe an hour at the absolute most, but not much longer than that to make the route out. And that way I know exactly where I'm going. That way, when I was working with Judy, and Judy was making calls for me, I would just share this route with Judy so she knew exactly where I was going, the order that I was going in. So generally what we would do is Judy would start at the back end of the route making calls, and then I would start at the front end making visits. So we weren't, you know, working the same dealers at the same time. So that is, that's it. Any other questions, Efren?
I do. How do I access the route once I?
Great question. That's a great question, and I'm glad he asked, because otherwise I would have just got off and not showed everybody how to save the route. So once you have the route made and you're satisfied with the route, you're simply going to come up to the little, which looks like a little floppy disk. Wow, how old is that? The old floppy disk right there. You're going to click that floppy disk right there, and it's going to ask you, as you can see, here's another route. Actually, this is the route that Efren and I did last week. It's going to ask you to give the route a name up here. So I'm just going to put demo. Whoops, sorry. Demo, and then it's going to ask you what day. So even though you may be seeing this route over, you know, 3 days, I always just put in the day that I'm beginning the route. So if this was going to be a route for this week, I would put it right here. Click right there, so it knows the date that you want it. What I generally do on the route as well is I'll put the name of the route or the city. I usually use the city, and then I'll put the dates that it's for. That's also, so let's say this would be for 11/7 right there. So if it was a city, I would just put Southgate 11/7. And then once you pick the day you want to put it on, you just go down to save, and it's going to save the route right there. So then to find the routes, when you go into your route, you just go to route list right here, and then it's going to view upcoming. You can view it by upcoming routes. So this one would be upcoming this week, 11/7, right? These are all different routes, or you can go by month if you're looking for a route as well. So the only route that I've got so far for this month is this one. So I look at last month, these are all the routes from last month. And then if you want to pull that route, you know, if it's a route that you're revisiting an area, you can certainly go back. And so like this was the route for Efren and I last week. I can just pull this route up, and it's going to wipe everything else out slowly. It's going to wipe everything else out and pull up our route from last week. So there's that we had for last week, as you can see. So this was, it'll keep anything you put on the map. So if you wanted to get rid of the shapes that you'd put on, you can just go back into the layers and take those shapes out. All right, so this is the route that Efren and I started working last week. So on this route, there was 89 dealers on that route. So I always like to put more on there than I need. So I never run out of options as far as seeing dealers. So I always err on the side of putting more guys on than less. So thanks for the question, Efren. Otherwise, I would have left them hanging. So any other questions, my friend? No, Efren's good. So hopefully this will help everybody out. And feel free to send me a text or call me if you have any other questions.